Sometimes, just sometimes, it's not about what the story says. It's how it shows up on the page. A full novel told in poems? A story that unfolds panel by panel with more pictures than paragraphs? Welcome to the wonderful, rule-breaking world of novels in verse and graphic novels. Formats that toss traditional blueprints out the window and say, let's make reading feel like discovery. I'm Nick. This is DrCrankyPantsReads, and today we're looking at the kinds of books that break all of the rules, and still might manage to break your heart. Let's start with novels in verse. You crack one open and suddenly it's not just reading, it's rhythm, it's white space, it's breath and emotion and feeling like you're inside someone's head. Verse strips everything down. There's no room for fluff. Every word has to earn its keep. Every line break is a pause, a shift, a potential punch to the gut. And for a lot of kids, that rhythm is access. Grief, joy, crushes, shame. Verse makes space for emotions that prose sometimes crowds out. It's particularly powerful for readers who get overwhelmed by giant blocks of text. Short lines mean forward momentum, progress, possibility. But don't get it twisted, because verse isn't a shortcut. It still has to carry a full story. Character, conflict, emotional arcs, all of it has to show up. But when it works, it really works. So how do you tell if a verse novel's actually doing its job? Start with the language. Is the verse doing narrative work, or is it just prose, chopped up into pretty little lines? Check the structure. Do the stanzas and line breaks actually shape meaning? Does it control pacing, reveal voice? And speaking of character voice, it's huge. With fewer words, every syllable matters. Are the emotional shifts clear? Are we inside this kid's head or just watching them from a distance? And here's the biggest test. Would this story lose something if it were written in prose? If the answer's yes, then verse isn't a stylistic flex. It's story architecture. So now let's pivot to graphic novels. Because yes, they have pictures, and yes, they look just like comics, but no, they are not just fun books or rewards for reluctant readers. They're literature, with panels. Graphic novels blend text and image in ways prose simply can't. They're cinematic, they're immediate, and for some kids, particularly those who are visually attuned, they're the lifeline. But that doesn't mean they're easier. They're just different. Reading a graphic novel means scanning facial expressions, catching visual cues, reading panel transitions, and interpreting silence. It's not a shortcut. It's a whole other literacy. So how do you evaluate a graphic novel without just reading the speech bubbles? Well, like any good illustrated work, start with the artwork. Is it doing real storytelling? Is it expressive or is it just functional? Are we getting emotion, tone, and narrative tension through image and not just text? Then check the layout. Are the panels controlling pacing? Do page turns land with drama? Is the eye guided with intention? And most importantly, are the image and the text doing different jobs? Because if the words just tell us what we're already seeing, that's not synergy. That's redundancy. And redundancy makes for a boring book. The best graphic novels make the reader read between the panels. What isn't said, what isn't shown, and what the reader has to infer. And that's not filler. That's sophistication. Because here's the thing. Verse novels, graphic novels, totally different experiences, same core goal. Get the story to the reader. Maybe it's a kid who doesn't think of themselves as a reader. Maybe it's someone who craves emotion but gets overwhelmed by walls of text. Maybe it's the visual thinker who lights up when words and pictures blend. These books don't lower the bar. They just move it to a different height. One more kid might be able to reach. They stretch what's possible. They give us new ways to teach structure, tone, theme, and emotional arc. So the next time you see one of these in a library or in a backpack, don't assume it's a break from real reading. Assume it's working on a different level. And your job? Your job is to meet it there. See you in the next one.